Hi, my name is Ed Shanshala. I'm the CEO of Ammonoosuc Community Health Services. At ACHS, we realize you do not need to be a French bistro chef to prep and serve meals that you feel good about. That's why our Food is Medicine program is designed that from 30 minutes prep to plate, you too can serve nutritious meals.
My name's Mina Flato, and I'm the teaching kitchen instructor for Ammonoosuc Community Health Services Food is Medicine program. I was a teacher for 20 years before this, and one of the biggest focuses in my classroom was that food doesn't have to have morality. Food is really not about good and bad, it's about nutrient dense and non-nutrient dense. And here at Ammonoosuc Community Health Services, that's our focus with this program. We want to help you get your food prepped to plate in 30 minutes or less. So we're going to make some Muffin Tin Omelets. These are a great way to have a quick breakfast that's nutritious, ready to go, that you can prep on the weekend or the night before. You can put these in the freezer. They're really great to have on hand. So you can see here that I've got 7 eggs that I've got cracked into this container already. We're going to get the last one in there. So when I'm cracking an egg, I know some people like to crack on the edge, some like to crack on the side. I'm going to do it over here on the side. I'm just going to open it up. Drop it in there, perfect. Then we are going to start adding in some cheeses. So this has a lot of high protein cheeses in it. So the most important one of these being the cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is a great way to get extra protein into whatever meal you're doing. So we are going to do a 1/2 cup of cottage cheese. And you can do reduced fat, you can do full fat, whatever works for you. So we've got our cottage cheese in there. We are now going to add a little bit of Greek yogurt actually. So this is another really great way to add to your protein content of what it is you're eating. So we're going to do a 1/2 cup of this as well. Put in there. That's good. So the recipe actually calls for a full cup of cottage cheese. I misread that. So we're going to add another 1/2 cup to our mixture. It would probably work with just a 1/2 cup as well, but we're going to try and follow this and make sure we get it correct. So we're going to add that extra 1/2 cup of cottage cheese to our mixture. And lastly, we are going to want to add a 1/2 cup of the shredded cheddar cheese. So I'm just going to use my 1/4 cup. Scoop it in twice to get ourselves a 1/2 cup. All right, perfect. So the recipe calls for putting this in a blender if you have a blender. Not everyone has a blender and that's okay. So we're going to show how you can do this without a blender. So the most important part is that you just want to make sure everything gets really well integrated. So I'm just going to kind of start going like this with it. And once I get those eggs broken down, I'm going to actually start whisking with my fork. The advantages of doing this with a blender are that you get a really nice smooth texture to this. But once this pops into the oven, everything will melt down together and it should be okay. It's coming together pretty well. All right, so we're just going to pause right there. And we are now going to add in our salt. So this calls for a teaspoon of salt, but again, this is customizable but depending on your taste and also on what your body needs. So some people have to be more mindful with salt, and that's okay. We're just going to measure it with our heart. Great. I'm going to whisk it again. So I don't remember if I mentioned in the beginning, but at this point, you should have your oven preheating at 350 degrees. So that way it is ready once this mixture comes together. So at this point, we're going to need to do some chopping. So we've got a nice fresh bell pepper. It could be red, yellow, whatever your preference is. Green is fine too. Green tends to be a little less sweet. It's nice to have a sweet pepper with this. So we are going to just take the top of our bell pepper, set that to the side. And I like to just kind of stick my hand in here and pull out the guts. So I'm going to take those out. We got our seeds out, we got all of our ribs and membranes out of it, and now we're gonna chop. So when I'm chopping a pepper, it's always important to remember to curl your fingers, especially your thumb. We tend to forget that our thumb exists, and when we do that, things don't go very well. So curl everything in to balance on the pepper, get it cut in half, and then I like to lay it like this, so it's like you have two boats, and then hold it, slice it into thin strips. That's good. Do the same thing with this one. And if you'll notice, when I'm chopping, I keep the tip of my knife on the board and I go down like this. Sometimes that's referred to as the boat when you're chopping, the boat method. So it kind of looks like a boat going in the ocean. So that's the safest way to do it. It gives you more stability. So now that I've sliced these into strips, I'm going to go perpendicular. So instead of parallel, we're going to go against it. And that's how we're going to get that nice fine dice. And if you are more sensitive to having big chunks in your food, you can break it down further like I am right now. That's fine, or you can leave them a little bigger. That's great. Now we are going to chop these the same way. And again, curling in my thumb, curling in my fingers. So that way I have them all when I'm done this recipe. That's looking pretty good. All right, so that's our peppers. We are adding those in, and it calls for a cup, but I like to just kind of do a full pepper, and that usually works pretty well. Add those into the mixture. And lastly, we're gonna add some baby spinach. So this is pre-washed and ready to go. You could also use like a frozen chopped spinach if you wanted to. So for the spinach, we are going for about a cup again. So I'm just trying to make sure that the amount is even between the peppers and the spinach. So it doesn't have to be precise. You can just kind of eyeball it. And again, we're just rough chopping through. Spinach breaks down really nicely once you get it into moisture. So this won't be as voluminous once it starts cooking. That's looking pretty good. And I'm just kind of running my knife through it again. I think we are there. Great. So I'm just going to add this to the mixture. Ooh, we are full to the top. All right. I think we're actually going to transfer this into a bowl so we don't have any big messes. All right. So we added our spinach, which was our last chopped ingredient, but we have one more special ingredient that we're going to add to our mixture. So this is something that not a lot of people are familiar with, but it's a real great thing to have in your kitchen cooking arsenal. So this is nutritional yeast. It is very high in protein and fiber for the quantity that you're adding to things. So a little sprinkle of this will really help boost the nutritional content of whatever it is that you're making. So I'm just going to measure with my heart. Shake it all around. It has a light cheesy flavor. It's almost a little nutty too. And again, it just will boost the fiber and the protein in your meal, and we could always benefit from a little extra protein and fiber in our meals. All right, we are all mixed up now. So the next step is going to be getting this transferred into our greased muffin tin. So we are just going to spray this. We got quite a mess going here. Sometimes cooking can be messy, but that's okay. So this is an olive oil spray. You can use whatever spray you have on hand. It doesn't have to be olive oil. I like it because the flavor is good with these egg bites. All right, so at this point, we are just going to spoon the mixture into the muffin tin. So if your mixing vessel, the pouring one like this, were big enough, you could have just poured it in, but I ran out of space, so I'm just going to go with the bowl. So we're going to fill these somewhere between half and 2/3 full. They will puff up a little bit, so you don't want them overflowing when you fill them. And like I mentioned before, these can be made ahead. So you can make these ahead, you can keep them in the fridge, or you can freeze them. If you're gonna freeze them, I recommend you freeze them in the quantity that you'll eat them. So you can take that out and put it in the microwave to get it heated up to eat it again. That's the best way to reheat them. You wanna add a little bit of water to whatever container you're microwaving in, so that way they stay moisturized and they don't dehydrate, because that would not be very tasty. And we used vegetables in this, but you could absolutely add other proteins to your egg mixture. That would be totally fine. I've made these at home with turkey bacon, which is delicious, or like a sausage. I've also tried them with ham. I think they're very good with ham. All right, so we've got a little bit too much here, but that's okay. I'm gonna see if I can top off some of these other ones. We might be able to make it work. You could always do 2 batches, that's totally fine. All right, so we are all set now. We've got all of the egg mixture into our little muffin tins. These are gonna bake in the oven, and when they're finished, we'll pop them out of the tray and they can be stored or enjoyed right away. So it's been 20 minutes and our muffin tin omelets are ready. We had enough time to get cleaned up and ready to plate. So these look fantastic. They've got beautiful color, and they have really puffed up nicely. So we are gonna remove them from the tin, and we're gonna put them onto this little plate. So since we used a nice spray, they come right up and out. Very easy to come out. And as you can see, they're portable. You could honestly take these on the road with you if you were driving to work or something. They're really just a very versatile way to get some extra protein into your diet. So, muffin tin omelets.